Christash.
Present.
Move to approve the minutes of the public workshop meeting held December 1st, 2022, at the regular public meeting held on December 15th. What is the opinion of this council?
Motion to accept.
Question? All approve?
Aye.
All those against? Passed. Okay. An ordinance amending, is that your part? Okay, hearing of persons present, sorry about that. Any hearing of persons present? Then we move on to the next item on the agenda. Okay, I thought that was you. Okay. Ordinance number 1226. An ordinance amending ordinance 1207, establishing regulations for the registration, inspections, and licensing of residential rental properties and housing occupancy within Northampton Borough, minimum standards for rental properties, violation penalties for noncompliance, and appeal. Okay.
Ordinance number 1226 has been duly advertised and is available for adoption. This ordinance contains the corrections that were recommended at the council meeting held on January 5th, 2023.
What is the opinion of this council?
Make a motion to adopt.
Second.
Question? Any question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is passed. We hear from the President's report. I have nothing at this time. Mayor's report.
Thank you. Again, welcome everyone in our cyberspace connection tonight. Hope everyone's having a nice evening. First, I want to start with our visit today by Senator Nick Miller. Nick joined myself, Leroy Brobst, Brian Wesco, and Councilman Almond in the office today. Had a nice visit, and looking forward to his presence here in town a lot more. He did give us a great recap of his initiatives and how he wants to work with us, and laid out a few pathways we can go for resources and working together with his office. So it was a really nice meeting, and we look forward to seeing more of the senator here in Northampton. As you know, he was newly elected, replacing Senator Lisa Boscola, who has served us so well for many years. So goes to say thank you to Senator Boscola also for all the years that she has been a wonderful asset to Northampton Borough and to our citizens here, making sure that the state of Pennsylvania took good care of us when the opportunity was there. So thank you, Senator Boscola, again also. The spring showers today gave impetus to a trip down to Canal Park with Leroy today and myself, looking ahead to where we want to go with the garden and the canal path initiatives. We've had some great success with the D&L Rail Trail and our bike path down there and jogging path, and of course with Reverend Mraz's request for the Monarch Way Station, we wanted to make sure that we had things in place for the upcoming spring. We can look ahead to any hiccups we might encounter and be sure that we do have a great, strong initiative down Canal Park this year. As the park beauty grows each and every year, we see more utility come out of it, and more out-of-towners enjoying the nice pathway we have along the Canal Park. Also, our engineering firm is doing some placement plans and construction estimates on the uptown way station we're looking to put right off the canal path. We did receive grants for that, So, in the area of the parking lot across from the gazebo, just south of 21st Street, we're looking to add to the, again, utility of the canal path and to help that canal path support local businesses in restaurants, shopping, whatever out-of-towners and people who use the trail may need. So we look forward to more of that. And that's all I have right now, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You're welcome.
Solicitor's report, please.
More of a question at first for our borough manager. Would you want me to address an impending vacancy that's coming? Would you want me to do that now, or would you prefer I do that later in the meeting?
We can deal with that when we get to that on the agenda.
Understood.
Because I had made a note that you would provide an ongoing explanation.
Not a problem. Then otherwise, I have no other updates other than just asking council if they have any questions for me. Not hearing anything else. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We now have reports from committees. I'll go to Mr. Kenny Hall for his report.
Thank you. We received a Grow Local grant in the amount of $34,000, which has been applied to our new police car. The garbage payments have coming in steadily. As of close of business day on January 17th, we received $277,417. The audit for the 2022 financial accounts will begin on Monday, February 13th, 2023, and interviews are being conducted for the administrative clerk position. And to this point, we are encouraged by several of the candidates. And a report.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Building, Land, and Recreation, we go to Ms. Haldeman, please.
Thank you. We have received an anonymously donated check in the amount of $400. That's going to be applied toward the pool memorial. Leroy is going to be contacting the parties that have initiated this program from the beginning. The AARP tax preparation services will begin on Monday, January 30th, 2023, at which time in-person only appointment scheduling will take place. Account preparation will continue every Monday thereafter until tax day. Leroy, I assume there'll be a phone number provided that they can call to schedule, or is that already known?
They have to schedule in person.
In person, so they should go to
The recreation center, yes.
and schedule their appointment. Thank you for that clarification. And next Saturday, January 28th, the Canal Park Garden Club, or the Northampton Garden Committee is another name we've been referencing. There's going to be an initial meeting at the Northampton Fire Department on Lurch Miller Drive that will begin at 10 a.m. Under the guidance of Reverend Mraz. He will have a few speakers, and all council members, Reverend Mraz asked me to let all council members know that they certainly are welcome to come on over, and the public that signed up, I'm going to add, at the street fair that showed interest are being contacted to see if they will like to show up for that meeting also. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Haldeman. For Code and Police, we look to Mr. Stone.
Yes, thank you. The zoning hearing board met on Thursday, January 12th, 2023, to hear the variance request of Mr. Brandon Senchitz at 44 West 4th Street. The board granted his request by a 3-1 vote. Also, vacancies still exist on both the Planning Commission and the zoning hearing board. And a report.
Thank you. Fire and Health, we look to Mrs. Almond.
The new fire department command vehicle has been delivered. It is a 2023 Chevrolet Silverado. The Board of Health will meet January 31st at 7 p.m. The fire department will be conducting a purse bingo at the fire station on Saturday, February 25th. Doors open at 11 and bingo starts at 12:30 p.m. Food will be available. End of report.
Well, thank you. Public Works and Sewer, we look to Mr. Vlasic.
Enclosed in the packet is the Act 537 approval letter from PA Department of Environmental Protection. Gilmore and Associates were notified and the appropriate plans are underway. A crew of the Public Works Department has been very busy removing dead trees and trimming tree branches back from the wires along Lawbach Avenue. The lights on Lawbach Avenue in the area of the municipal building have been replaced with the new LED lights. The LED light project continues throughout the borough. Hopefully you have noticed it. The Verizon pole, though, on 22nd Street and West Alley still stands at this date. Several calls have been made to Verizon and to remove the pole. PPL has moved their equipment and relocated it on their new pole. We have received several comments regarding the live streaming. The video portion has been very good. However, the audio is still a work in progress, especially for persons to be heard. If they do not stand close enough to the microphone, it's ineffective to be heard. So please, we try to recommend people standing closer. End of report.
Thank you, Mr. Glassick. We'll go on to now to unfinished business.
Okay, that looks good.
Anything I need?
Nope.
No, no unfinished business? New business, consider the request to attend a grant writing training.
We have received a request from Police Chief Brian Cadingo to authorize officers Emmanuel Torres and Jeffrey Perry to attend a two-day first responders grant writing class. Class will be held at Whitehall Township Police Department on May 8th and 9th. The cost is $499 per student.
I make a motion to have them both attend the grant writing training classes.
Second, any question? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Ayes have it. Consider the request of the Planning Commission.
At the Planning Commission meeting held on Wednesday, January 11th, the members deliberated and referred the developer to a zoning hearing to ask for a variance on shade tree planting and number of parking spaces. This project is being considered at 1204 Main Street, the former VFW building. It is the recommendation of the Planning Commission to ask council to provide a favorable approval to the zoning hearing board to facilitate the completion of this project. What it amounts to in layman's terms is the Planning Commission granted them preliminary and final approval contingent on a variance provision from the zoning hearing board, and the Planning Commission is suggesting that council provide a favorable comment to support their recommendation.
What is the opinion of this council?
Yes.
So what is the opinion of this council?
If no action's taken, then no action's taken on this. Just to inform council that that's what would happen if no one makes any motions or otherwise.
Could it be explained a little bit more? Could you go through it again? Don't mind.
One of the variance requests that they're going to ask for is that they do not have to plant any shade trees. If you remember the barn apartments that were approved at the last meeting, there is a requirement there for shrubbery and tree planting. The land that is owned where the parking lot will be situated belongs to Norfolk Southern. There isn't sufficient land on the property of the VFW building to provide a space for a shade tree. The parking spaces, for 15 units, the zoning ordinance requires 2 spaces per unit, that would be 30. They can provide 21, which is in keeping with the Institute of Transportation Engineers Parking General Manual. It is not unusual for the zoning hearing board to be asked for a reduction in the number of parking spaces where it is not, where there isn't sufficient space to provide it. They have the final decision on that. The planning commission will accept 21, which can be provided, and they're asking for council's support in passing that along to the zoning hearing
So
board.
how many parking spaces would you lose if they had a shade?
They have 21 that are provided. The new regulations on efficiency apartments that are 1 bedroom or less is 1.1 per unit. So actually, using those standards, they would need 17 spaces, but they can provide 21.
That's what I'm saying, is that by them having a variance on the shade tree, they're basically looking for more parking spaces
The shade tree
instead of a
wasn't,
tree? Is that what I'm hearing? Would they lose parking spaces?
No, the shade, the building itself pretty much takes up the parcel.
Okay.
The VFW, when they operated, they had a lease with Norfolk Southern for parking on land that is adjacent to the VFW building. That parking agreement lease is still in place, and it does not have a term, it just says periodically can be renewed. So that would be an ongoing use of the apartment complex for parking, and they can provide 21 spaces there. With the transportation engineer study, they would, in actuality, probably only need 17.
If I heard you correctly, Leroy, regarding the shade tree, there's not enough room on the property to plant a shade tree.
No.
Then why is this even a question and needs a motion to not?
Because the zoning ordinance requires, in this sort of development, it requires some plantings, landscaping.
if I could add, there really is no place, like he's saying, for a shade. They could stick a shade tree in there somewhere if they really had to. There's no trees there, there's been no trees there for years. They could stick one in the back corner if it means, they're just, it's 2 different waivers they're looking for. It has nothing to do with the parking or with that. The waiver for the tree is one, and the other one, the parking is the parking. The tree, like he said, they could stick a tree in, but there's no trees, there's really no place to put it, but they could stick one in there somewhere. It wouldn't, they could put it in a place so it wouldn't even take up another space. The parking was the second issue, so. It's 2 different waivers, it's just, it was all worded together, but they were 2 different waivers that they were looking for.
And one of the main reasons to go for an appeal to the zoning hearing board is to declare a hardship. The hardship on the tree is that there's not sufficient room to plant it, and the hardship on the parking is that, by strict order of the ordinance, they would need 2 per unit or 30. All they can provide is 21.
And I think an important distinction to make here as well is that when you're talking about the planning commission versus the zoning hearing board, you're talking about 2 different authorities of those 2 different boards. The planning commission, generally speaking, is purely a recommending body. The planning commission, they vote to either suggest approval or disapproval, and then it comes to Borough Council for the ultimate decision. And then Borough Council has that ultimate decision then. When you're talking about the zoning hearing board, you're talking about some substantial more power than the planning commission than you would normally see. If I'm understanding this correctly, the planning commission is okay with foregoing the shade tree, and the planning commission is essentially requesting Borough Council have a vote agreeing with the planning commission as it proceeds forward with the zoning hearing board. Would that be correct?
Yeah.
I
tried to say that.
No, and I just say, because a lot of times people can get confused by what the planning commission does and what the zoning hearing board does. Because the planning commission is purely just a recommending body, while the zoning hearing board actually does have some real authority behind it in the sense that its decisions can be binding. So realistically, the vote that's being asked here of council is not the end-all be-all. You know, if council decides to vote in favor with the planning commission, it's not as if the developer can immediately move forward tomorrow. It still has to go to the zoning hearing board, but it would be reported to the zoning hearing board that council is also in favor of this. Now, if it goes the other way, then of course, then you'd have the two conflicting bodies, but whatever the will of council is what the will of council is.
My question would be, am I understanding this right? Norfolk Southern could come in at any time and say to the people that live there, you can't use that land, that's our land. Is there anything in writing that guarantees?
They have an agreement.
But it's every how long? It's not forever?
It's periodic.
Periodic. So periodically, the way I understand this, then they could say, in 2025, you no longer have a parking lot. Is that correct? They could say that.
They could say that. They could have said the same thing at the Riverview Apartments at 902 Main
okay.
Street. They could say
Okay.
the same thing to
Okay.
the Historical Society at the Siegfried Station.
Okay,
It
so,
doesn't seem like they have any interest in that.
right,
No, it's an empty piece of
Okay.
paved land.
okay. So it's never been an issue. Okay,
The VFW's been there a long time.
right, correct. Thank you.
I'm ready to make a motion to approve.
I have a question before you make your motion. In all of this talk, all of this proceedings, I have not heard word one about the existence of the roadway through that property to go around to connect onto Franklin. Is that gonna be eliminated, or is there still gonna be a drive-through
If you look at a
roadway?
property map, that land belongs to Norfolk Southern. There is no roadway through there.
Okay.
That street does not exist, even though it's been used forever. It's not on the property map. It belongs to Norfolk Southern. It's part of that parking lot.
If Norfolk Southern decides that they were gonna do like she or somebody had said, we could be in the same boat. It would be non-existent. It would be like he's saying. So we're in the same boat as they are. If Norfolk Southern decides they wanna do something with that piece of property, then, which I doubt, but like, we've been maintaining it, we've been running a path through it. I don't think we're going crazy plowing it, cause VFW did that, but we ran a path through, which we've been doing for years, just to maintain, to connect it to Franklin. But we could be in the same boat, because if they decide that Norfolk Southern says they wanna use all their properties, it would wipe out 902, it would wipe up at Dress up here at 21st Street. They wanted to make good on their properties and sell it to somebody. But Norfolk Southern's a big entity that you can't even, from what they're saying, you can't even talk to. They just, so, like he's saying, yeah, the road isn't there, the boroughs, I guess we're still agreed, they're gonna still make their one path, but he said he would plow it. He'd do the plowing and make it all, whatever, but I said, we're in the same boat they are. If that clears that up. The road don't exist, like he said.
Thank you. So what
My
is, okay, I'm sorry,
Second
Tony.
question
Okay, Tony, I'm sorry.
deals with parking spaces. If we have a situation where they're building 15 apartments, which would require 30 spaces, they can only provide 21. I would suggest they reduce the number of apartments in that building to meet the formula.
That could be a suggestion of the zoning hearing board.
That is my suggestion. Reduce the number of apartments in that area. Because when you get 15 apartments of whomever's, you are going to get a pile of vehicles in there all the time. So I would want the reduction in the number of the apartments to meet compliance with our standards.
Thank you for your comments. Okay, so,
So, I mean, I agree with Councilman about that, but the fact is, isn't there 1.1 parking spot per unit? And they could go down to 17 spots? That's what I thought you heard, I heard you say?
Yes.
So legally, they could go down to 1.1 parking spots, which would be 17.
We
and
have
still keep
never
the 15,
updated
but I
our
agree with what you're
zoning
saying.
ordinance to provide for this study that was done by the transportation engineers. and with only one bedroom per unit, their estimate is 1.1 parking spaces. But we have never changed our zoning ordinance to match that. And we can't just change it now in the middle of the stream.
Thank you. What is the opinion of this council?
Motion to approve. Second.
Question?
I want noted that we support the planning and zoning commissions to move forward with their hearing, and duly noted that they should look at that, but parking and things like that, but the tree and stuff like that is obviously not gonna be anything you really worry about. There's no room to put it there anyways.
Thank you, appreciate that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against?
Nay.
The ayes have it. Next, moving on, we'd like to consider the resignation of Borough Council member.
We received a notice of resignation from Council President Anthony Lipsonsky Jr. The solicitor will guide council on the next appropriate action. We'll list a vacant council seat on the borough's website, and the vacancy needs to be filled within 30 days. And solicitor,
Sure. So what we have right now is a resignation. Just to clear it up for anybody that's wondering, a resignation does not become official automatically, at least within the time frame that we're still working within. So long as the resignation was submitted and it's within 45 days, the resignation becomes effective the day Borough Council accepts the resignation. So realistically, as it stands right now, technically, Tony Lipsonsky Jr. is still technically on council. But I'm going to assume here for a moment that Borough Council is going to accept the resignation. The vacancy would be open effective today. So today would be the 30-day clock within which that Borough Council has to appoint somebody. 30 days from today is February 18th. That's a Saturday. But luckily for us, that 30 days encompasses both of our February Borough Council meetings. So we have some time here to work with. I do always like to caution, though, that we don't want to drag our feet on this. We want to get moving on this, because if we don't do it within 30 days, then there's a possibility that the courts of common pleas can get involved. There's a possibility that electors could file a petition, and that just can tend to complicate a process, especially when it provides that Borough Council is supposed to appoint somebody to that position. Given the fact that Borough Council is divided up into wards, the individual appointed would have to be a member, would have to be a resident of that specific ward, the 4th ward, and that residency would have had to have been for 1 year prior minimum within that 4th ward. And then as for how we treat it from there, obviously Lipsonsky Jr. was the president of council. So our suggestion is going to be, when you read the borough code and when you read the municipalities planning code, and if you hear me say NPC, that's municipalities code. We just tend to shorten it. It's a lot to say all at once, multiple times. It does not provide for an immediate ascension of the vice president into the presidential role. It does provide that in the absence of the president, or if the president is unavailable or what have you, then the vice president would stand in, as is happening today. And we have Vice President Kutzler serving in a good capacity here.
Thank you.
But I bring all that up, and that's why I started with, technically, as it stands right now, Junior is still on council. Our suggestion is at our first meeting in February that there be an official reorganization meeting of council. Reorganization is when the president and vice president would be elected through the members of council here. Part of the reason that we want to do it that way is, frankly, it's just clean, and legally speaking, it's the cleanest and the healthiest way to handle it. Along with that, it also gives us an opportunity to elect a new vice president as well. So we would have to have a president and a vice president vote. So that would be our suggestion. As of today, Borough Council has to take a vote on the resignation letter of Anthony Lipsonsky Jr.
And I'll open that meeting the next.
Yes, well, technically, the reorganization meeting could be started by the vice president still. While the borough code does provide that a reorganization meeting does have to happen in certain intervals, the borough code also does provide that a reorganization meeting can happen by motion and second of any member throughout the year. So we can handle that, and again, in a smooth way. So our suggestion is we have to vote on the resignation letter today. As Leroy said, it's totally appropriate to start advertising on the website and get applications, just so we know who's interested in filling that seat in the 4th Ward. And that at our first meeting in September, which I believe, in February.
It's contagious.
Oh, it is contagious. In February, which I believe is February 2nd. That's the first Thursday. That be an official reorganization meeting, and we can proceed from there with a new president, a new vice president, and even begin to consider some of the individuals that have submitted. Does anybody have any questions for me as we continue to go through this? I know that was a lot of information, but I want to make sure that we're all on the same page.
Not a question, but a comment. Us West Wingers over here did not have a chance to speak up on Tony last week as he announced it a little later than our turn to speak. So, Councilman Senior, if you can please just relay to him, from my personal experience with him over the 11-plus years we worked together, that he was truly a consummate councilman and council president, always doing the job with Northampton first, as well as balancing a great family and work life together. Always participated in the local events, brought his wife and daughter out as often as he could. It was a joy to work with him. So on behalf of myself as a neighbor, fellow councilman, and our mayor, please extend the fact that he's going to be sorely missed here, and it was fun to work with him. He made it a lot of fun, so we appreciate that. And thank you to Bill Liner for the beautiful article in the Northampton Press. The Lopsonsky boys never looked better, so very glad to see that. Front page above the crease is always special for the Northampton Press. It really is, so that's a true honor itself. So thank you for that. And again, on behalf of myself and the office of mayor, really, he was a pleasure to work with as a councilman, the consummate Northamptonian, so thank you.
As you may imagine, these are nails being driven into my heart. I will take those words back to him and express them to him in the sentiment that it was given.
Thank you.
I hope you realize this is very, very hard for me.
We do.
Without lingering any further, I yield back the balance of my time to the chair.
Well, thank you, Mr. Lipsonsky. So consider the resignation, oh, I'm sorry.
I'd like to condone. the
I'm
mayor
sorry.
pretty much said it
I
for all
didn't
of us
hear
over
him.
here. I believe
I didn't hear.
that it's pretty much the sentiment of everybody over here. He pretty much worded it. So, without further, I think we should move on to where we're going. Unless you guys, anybody else, as I said, it came up that he spoke after we had, so. It's been a pleasure.
We all share the sentiments.
Mayor said it well.
Thank you.
Thank you,
He was a professional.
thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Ken. Consider the resignation of Borough Council member.
Motion regrettably to accept it.
I'll second. Also,
Question? All those in favor? Opposed?
I would like to respectfully, as best as I can, because of the nature of this situation, I respect everyone's vote as I respect you. This is a situation where it's very, very hard for me. So what I believe that I'm going to do is I'm not going to be Brutus, what he did. I will vote no.
The ayes have it, motion passed. Right?
Yeah. And so to be clear, the vacancy is official. Tell your friends, if they live in the 4th Ward, get their applications, or I assume, Leroy, is there gonna be an application posted or some sort of form? Yeah. Make sure they get those in, just so that way Borough Council is aware of their want and desire to be a part of this. And, very good.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll have reports from council members, starting with Mr. Hall.
Thank you. Getting to the end of the month, Public Works was doing great. I believe they did a wonderful job on clearing the roads from snow this year in January. Hopefully February and March follow up the same. It would be wonderful. I'm ready for this weather and better. But the lights are looking good. I guess there's no method to how they're doing. I see there's a couple that they're skipping. You go up the stretch of Lava Avenue, and then the one in front of the pool, in front of the swimming pool, is the old style yet. And so, but they do make a difference. You see the light. Check it out. That's the biggest area that I've seen that they have them done so far. So we've been pushing for that for a long time. Pushed that years ago, and it took a couple of recurrence till we could get them moving. So, other than that, I think that's all I have for now.
Thank you. Mr. Stowe?
Yes, thank you. I just want to say, Vice President Christopher, I think you did a fine job leading this meeting tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Again, vacancies, Planning Commission and Zoning Hearing Board. It's a great opportunity to serve your community. So I hope that people do that. Speaking of serving your community, I was invited to the table. My wife and I were invited there to dine there. Most of you may not be aware of what the table is, but it's a group of volunteers that prepare and serve very nice meals to the Northampton community. It's all free of charge. Everyone is invited. We had a good time there, and they were very hospitable. It's located at New Journey on Newport Avenue, and chief police officers are also welcome to come there. Even if they're on duty, they can grab something to go. All right, so they do provide meals to go as well. So that's all I have. I just say first and third Tuesday each month. First and third Tuesday of each month. Thank you. And it's easy to remember because it's also the same week that we have council meetings. So
Okay.
that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Stone.
Thank you.
Ms. Haldeman?
Thank you. I just wanted to comment too that I thought the lights looked great. I made a special effort to pay attention, so I thank Leroy, but thank Councilman Glassick. I know he put a lot of effort into making sure too that the LED lights were addressed with PP&L. Hopefully that pole is going to go away real soon. I'm going to comment that it was I that was able to meet Senator Miller this morning, not Councilman Almond. I got up and got dressed
I was going to
in
make that
Westbury.
correction. That correction is sitting right here to be humbly made.
It's okay, you don't even need to do it humbly. But it was an absolute wonderful opportunity. He seems like he's going to bring some real enthusiasm to his new role. And hopefully he will bring things that will benefit the town. We certainly had an opportunity to share with him our thoughts. Leroy was great in giving a great presentation on what's happening in town, as did the mayor. And then I just want to re-emphasize that we hope that people do come to the Garden Club meeting. Reverend Mraz is very passionate about this. He very much has put a lot of effort into it and is hoping that the community will jump in and carry on his plans for beautifying the park. So again, January 28th, Fire Department, Lurch Miller Drive, 10 a.m. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I quickly want to go on the record and apologize to Councilman Haldeman. If I could get that on the record, please, Megan, I'd appreciate
Doesn't
that.
need to go on the record, Meg.
My humble apologies. I know you were there. You're there all the time. So.
I had to tease.
Thank you. I'll get a cup of coffee.
Is it right? No,
Sure.
my turn. Okay. I'd like to read the Northampton Borough Police Department report for December. They had 476 dispatches. Of that, 37 traffic citations, retail theft 2, parking ticket 17, arrests for burglary, DUI, possession of instruments of crime, retail theft, and unlawful possession of weapons. 9/11, 911 incidents, 39. But the whole total was 476. Thank you for putting up with me in this position. I'll try to do the best that I can for the time being. Thank you. Mrs. Allen?
Thank you. Councilman Stone, you announced the days, first and third Thursdays. Would you also announce the hours that the food's available?
Tuesday at 5:30. Thank you. Yes. First and third Tuesday
Oh,
of each
Tuesdays.
month. It also happens to be the same week of the Borough Council meeting, so it's easy to remember.
Okay,
5:30 PM.
thank you. And I would like to thank the code officers for paying attention and handling the trash situation, the offenders, in the appropriate manner. So, thank you. End of report.
End of report. Thank you. Mr. Glassick?
Start by saying an outstanding job, Ms. Kistler, for the first, filling in there. Big shoes to fill, as we regrettably miss,
Yes.
Junior already. I just would like to ask a question to Megan. What is their total trash and recycling bill that we will collect totally? I know it's probably somewhere in the budget, I just didn't want to look through the whole book.
What do we bill for?
What do we bill for?
About 1.4 million.
Okay, so we're about 20% there. Okay, thank you. Again, thank you, Councilman Stone, for asking people, please get involved with our borough. Planning and zoning, they're important parts of our community. We need people to step up. We are looking for people to get involved. We want to have that new blood come in. So again, talk to your neighbors. Hopefully we can do that, as well as the vacant councilman seat that's going to be in the 4th Ward. So please put that forward. I do like the lights. They are quite bright. For those that do follow some people on Facebook, there was people complaining about the bright lights, but, you're never going to make everybody happy. We know that. It was too bright, too sunny, but if it saves a child's life or a dog or a pet, I don't really care how much they want to post on Facebook, so let them do that. And other than that, I do not think I have anything else. And the report, I do have some questions about the finance when they ask.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Oh, correct, can I still go? I'm sorry. About the 537 Act, I do have some questions. Since it's my turn, I'll go through that now. It does say here about, well, I don't want to say that it does say here, but they waited 6 months to get back to us. I just wanted to make that duly noted, 6 months, and we were on a deadline to be there in a few weeks, I believe. There's a part here, it says they're moving from 1.5 MGD, which I would think was million gallon distribution. I think that's what it stands for.
That's million gallons.
Yep, to 2.0, but yet they gave 320 equivalent dwellings to Lehigh Township, to Allen Township, not Lehigh Township, let me correct that, Allen Township. Leroy, are those 320 EDUs already accounted for?
Yes.
Okay, so they were not additional 320?
No, we had entered into an agreement with them for an
That's-
additional 100.
Okay,
But the two, we had sold them quite a few at the end of 2016 that are still on the book yet not connected,
okay,
but they're paid for.
okay, but they're not asking for another 320, correct?
No, not as
Okay.
additional.
And there is a plan for meeting with Allen Township, because it states in here in the plan that we should be getting together with Allen Township to discuss this more.
Yes, Scott Gillespie at the sewer plant is meeting with Tom Duffy tomorrow, our engineer. And that, when I talked to him today, that was one of the things that I asked him to establish. We need to get together with them and move forward.
And just so that they know that the township should be advised that they're looking to go to Catasauqua Borough, they might be informed about some of the situations over there. Thank you. That is the end of my questions, thank you. I don't want it to come back to get us, bite us, when they say, oh, well, we can't go there because of other situations, so let them aware of it ahead of time. That is on the end of my questions and report.
Thank you, Mr. Glassick. Mr. Lipsonski?
Thank you, Madam President. My mind is abuzz with, I can't figure out what. I feel somewhat in an odd position. I am both very proud a little upset. For those of you that have never been involved in organizations where there was a relative that was there, that you had a close relationship to, just something that maybe you can understand. I tried to give to my son everything that he needed in his life. And with the honorable statements from council, they have recognized him as being that person. He has become. All I did was provided the way. He did the rest of the work. So if you think he was a wonderful, wonderful person, I'm glad. If you didn't care for him, didn't like his demeanor, that's your situation. It doesn't affect me. That's for you to deal with. I try to give everyone, and this goes for every citizen in the borough, I try to do my job as I saw and heard from the people what they thought that they'd like to see in this borough coming. And some of those things we have done, and I think it has helped our town. This situation now with trying to find a new leader, I feel like a runner with one leg in a sprint race. I don't think I'm gonna be moving too quick, all right? But I eventually will come around and will be back to my, unfortunate for other people, myself. And the statement again goes, if you like them, great. If you don't, ain't my problem. So, as was mentioned by other council people here, we are in need of many, many people to volunteer. However, that America has been destroyed. It has been beaten up, I think, by people that don't have a clue on God's green earth what they really should be doing. It's a situation where you get what you get. The situation here with our having to meet many, many things, we're trying the best that we can. We're trying for the best of every citizen. And you have to remember too, and I took a beating with the situation where, for example, the fire department tax assistance. You didn't realize I have to pay that same tax as everybody else. I have no problem with it because I want my fire department to be there, be on call, and have the equipment that they need to provide safety and take care of the situations that they are thrust into. They have demonstrated this countless times. Again, I'd like to compliment the road crew on the fine job that they did in plowing the snow up until now. It's a situation where one day you're gonna wake up and you ain't gonna see green. It's gonna be white. And the temperature is going to be just a touch frosty. That doesn't hurt me. I enjoy that. I'm like a polar bear. I enjoy the cold. I enjoy the snow. I feel better in the snow. Some people like that weather where they sit inside and perspire, they get uncomfortable, and then they say, damn, it's hot. I say, enjoy it. It's what you live for. I'm the opposite. I'm the opposite.
Tom.
I am happy when it's frosty and white. There are things now that we're gonna be moving into dealing with. I'd like to thank the council board for understanding the mental that I'm in, the mental situation that I'm in. I had a very, very, very rotten day at work. And now to come and compound with this, it beats me up. It beats me up. But understand one thing, the tiger will stalk again. If anyone has any questions, comments, or needs, please address any of the people we see here on the dais. Bring your thoughts forward. Not only that, get your backbones ready to help. Because what's the good of having a thought if it's going nowhere? It's like having a firm grip on a handful of smoke. What do you got? Nothing. Don't be the nothing, be the something. Have your idea and bring it out, because there's no such thing as a dumb idea, unless I come up with it. But don't be afraid, come forward. Address your council representatives. That's why those cards are out in the office on the desk with all of our names, addresses, phone numbers, and shoe sizes. Contact us. We don't sit here because we're earning thousands of dollars in commission. A lot of people think there's a lot of under the table deals. Well, I've been in council for 16 years. Wow, that's a long time. I have yet to see some of those, how should we say, rewards coming to me. My rewards are when people say, you know, that program that you put together and put up, that was a hell of a nice thing. And I just try to come up with more things that help people, their family, and their kids, so that they can proudly say, I live in Northampton. Yeah, it may be a little shoebox, but do you fit the shoe? We all do. I yield back the balance of my time on my pontification.
Well, thank you, Mr. Lipsonsky. Looking to announcements, please? That was you.
Just two things. I did enjoy our meeting with Senator Miller this morning. I found him very approachable. I found him easy to talk to and easy to listen to. I think that going forward, we will have a good rapport with him, just like we have with Senator Boscola. We had 19 applicants for the administrative clerk position. Following the initial round of interviews, we have narrowed that group down to 4. They will be interviewed on Monday, and we may have a recommendation and an introduction by Groundhog Day of our next council meeting. All of them require 2 weeks' notice to the current employer. So I'd like to get them on board as quickly as possible so they can spend some time with both Megan and Barbara and make a relatively smooth transition. But no matter what, we're all here to help whoever that person would be. That's all I have.
Well, thank you, sir.
Mrs. Vice President, Council President, whatever he said. Would we be able to pay the bills that are outstanding and cleared?
So that's a motion.
Yes.
Questions, though?
Question.
After the second.
We need a second.
Oh, I need a second. I'm sorry. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second, thank you. Question?
Questions about the paying of the registers. Leroy, I see that you and Mary Ellen are bound, have bonds that, through Liberty Mutual?
Yes.
Does it not, does the entire council have a bond?
No,
We do not.
no.
Okay, thank you for the clarity. There's Michael Baker International, $20,396 for the Borough Trail Plan.
Yeah, that's.
Is that a grant money?
Yeah, that's grant money.
Okay.
We submitted a grant, we submitted a partial application to Karen Collis of Northampton County. And I got an email back from her. She had 2 questions, which we will answer tomorrow, and we'll get some of that money back.
Good, thank you. And TriStar, it's $590, but what's TriStar Incorporated?
What page?
Last page, page 5.
First item.
First item, TriStar Incorporated.
Oh, that's for the sewer plant. Those are the charts that register the influent.
The auger or something like that.
No,
Actuator.
Actuator. Thank you for remember, everybody, okay? You got that. The actuator, look how you remembered that. And the only other thing I would like to ask is, could Brian Wesco give us the number of people that are signed on?
52.
That's the same as before.
No, that was 54.
We lost a couple.
we lost a couple.
52 when I gave my speech, and then it went up to 54 before.
So I was correct.
So you were correct.
Thank you.
And so now it's at
But your wife
52.
tuned in. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
But yeah, no, 52 overall.
That's it.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I forgot to ask a question. Thank you.
Before anybody says anything, make sure we're offline. All right, we're good. Speak freely.